Blake Shultz.
Back for another episode. Here we are.
What's going on, man? Right out of the gate, got to address your new ink you got going on. What's
you
up
like
with
it?
that? I dig it. It looks like the artist kind of messed up the 7 on the other side. But
27's always been my number, and just real excited. No,
that was a great year for you. Yeah.
Okay. 1927 was a big year for me. I did an Xterra race last night, actually.
Wow.
That's why it's still on. Tried to scrub it off last night in the shower, and here we are. So
I saw you post something about it on social media. It looked like you won the race, I guess. Isn't it like an official race? This isn't like a marathon or anything like that.
Yeah, so it was a super sprint. So I signed up last week, and it was like someone sent it to me, and I was like, oh, that'd be super fun. Like, let's sign up. And I had 2 guys that were going to do it with me. We all signed up together, and then they bailed. And I was like, well, I guess I'll still do it. And then convinced another friend to do it. So is me and another buddy did it, and there were 46 people total. Again, so I've done, it's like a triathlon, but off-road, if you will. So there's a swim, a mountain bike, and a trail run, which is way more fun to me than just being on the road. So I did the Buster Britain like 4 or 5 years ago. It's a triathlon that's put on at Oak Mountain by a different racing crew or event or whatever. And it was the sprint distance, so it was twice as long as what I did last night. And it was super fun. And they're exhausting, you're dead, but it's a very short distance. And so, again, not knowing really much about that world, not really staying plugged in since I did the Buster Britain a couple years ago, I didn't realize, it's not advertised this way, and no one said this last night, but it seemed like it's more of an event for kids.
Oh, okay.
So the fact that I won it is not something I'll probably promote.
So you called it a super sprint?
A super sprint. So the sprint's like a shorter version of, I don't know, I think one's called the Olympic distance. It's just like different distances. Okay. And so the super sprint is like really short. So it was a 200-meter swim, they said 6-mile bike ride. It felt longer. And then a right over 1-mile run. So it's pretty short. Okay. So I did it in 37 minutes.
There you go. That's
awesome,
dead. Man.
Just like my legs are, like my calves are cramped up, like I was dying.
Yeah.
And people are going and doing like triple or quadruple that distance today. And I met some of those athletes last night. I'm like, guys, I don't know how y'all do that.
Just back to back like that. Yeah.
Just like I couldn't have done another minute. I was dying.
Frick, dude. Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's what this is.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, I guess it didn't wash off easy. That's why.
Yeah, it's got to come off today. I can't walk around like this all the time.
Well, when you're not running marathons and doing super sprints and stuff, what else has been going on? I feel like I haven't talked to you in it's been a little while.
There's been a lot of movement in the past couple of weeks. We've personal level, Land Cruiser is running.
Okay.
So we've gone
saw you got your reservoir or filter or whatever it was.
Had the updates on social media. Finally got that in. And I talked about the world of logistics, which is amazing. And the fact that it came in, and I think it was a week and a half, is still incredible. But the problem, or the frustrating part was, it was like, all right, I ordered on a Monday, and it's like, all right, it'll be here Wednesday in 2 days. Wednesday, hey, we're delayed, it'll be here Thursday. Hey, it'll be here Friday. And it kept doing that every single day, and it did it for 7 days straight. Nice. And that's what made me mad. If they just said, hey, it'll be here in 10 days, no problem. But the anticipation.
Yeah.
And so the build up, and I was like, come on. So when it finally got here, I popped it in and filled it up, and car's running. But I still got to put transmission fluid in it, which I've watched a couple YouTube videos, but don't really know enough about it to feel confident in doing it. So
you have to drain out the old whatever's left in there.
Well, so when I took out the radiator, I didn't know this either, but apparently it also cools your transmission fluid in addition to the coolant.
Okay.
Which I didn't know. So when we pulled out the old one, we lost some. I don't know how much. Maybe maybe a quarter of it. I don't know. So
there's no dipstick for the transmission fluid, I guess.
I think there is. I haven't gotten into it.
Okay.
So anyone out there who knows cars, please call me.
Like Land Cruiser. Well, you had mentioned the guy that, and I through another series of events, I met some other people that work with him, Boozer, who has the shop, and I think he specializes in like, I don't know if he does just Land Cruisers, but a lot of Toyota vehicles and stuff. Yeah,
he does. He specializes in Land Cruisers, and then there's 1 or 2 other people in town that do. And that may be my next play, but I'm doing my best to try to keep it all.
Sure, just for fun and doing it yourself. And I get it.
But this may, at a certain point, there's stupidity comes in where I probably just need to let someone.
Well, you don't want to do something that would like ruin all your work up until this point.
Oh yeah,
go drive it and melt the transmission, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and then it's like, well, it's not worth even repairing. So there's a fine line there. So that's where we're at now. But it'll crank. It'll run. It's still up on the ramps, but it'll crank. I turned it on yesterday, and yeah, I'm pretty excited.
So once you finally get going, you got some mega camping trip or something you're gonna do? Is it 4-wheel drive? And I assume a Land Cruiser is like a pretty robust off-road type vehicle.
I haven't thought that far.
Oh, okay.
It's having
Let's just get it on the road.
Yeah, just the goal is to get the thing running. And every now and then I'll go down rabbit holes of like, here's a cool roof rack, and here's some tires, and here's some wheels we can put on it.
Got to get the breather and all that stuff, the snorkel.
Yeah. But anytime I'm like 10 minutes into that, like there's this roof rack. I think it's Rhino racks. It's like $1,500.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Like, holy cow! Like it looks awesome, but the thing's not even running.
How practical is it? Yeah.
Right.
I want one for my Tacoma, and it's about $1,000. And I haven't pulled the trigger on it because I'm like, it looks cool, but how often am I really going to use it? And it's just more for like having the off-road look. So
so this is how, and this right or wrong, this is how I justify dumb purchases, is being in the sales and commission business that I'm in. This is what I did with my mountain bike. I think we talked about this, but I set a goal, like a sales goal or a commission goal, and then do extra work or more work than I would have done to make that extra money to justify, okay, well,
it's just throwaway money now.
Yeah. Well, again, right or wrong, there's probably better ways to do it, but that's how I've justified it.
No, that's a good point. I mean, I kind of do that too in the line of work that I'm in. We have the opportunity for a lot of like gig work and like kind of extra work and stuff, and so my wife and I are trying to plan a 10-year anniversary trip right now. So nice. I've been kind of jumping on a little more overtime opportunities, and kind of gives me some extra cash. Not only I got my deck built, and nice. I've been wanting to I pulled the trigger on a smoker, which man, I was wishing it would come in before this weekend, but I don't know if it's going to.
For Memorial Day?
It'll definitely be here by Memorial Day, but I wanted to go ahead and get some trial runs in because I've never used a smoker.
Practice it,
Got to practice.
Is it like a Traeger? Or what?
It's made by a company. This is going to be a grilling podcast now. It's made by a company called Z Grills, which is kind of like an off-brand, if you will. And Walmart's got their Pit Boss line, and I've heard about that. So no, it's not a Traeger because for the same capacity smoker, pellet smoker specifically, for a Traeger version, you're going to spend like 3 times the price. Like Traeger's
pellet smoker was the question.
It's one of those. It's a pellet smoker, cool. And super easy to use. Yeah. At least that's what I'm told. Haven't used one myself yet. Yeah. So all that to say, I've had a lot of like fun toy summertime purchases I'm wanting to do. And so I kind of take it the same way. It's like, well, if I want to do this stuff, how can I do it in a way that's not going to affect my normal cash flow? Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, let's just get some extra cash flow in, do some extra work that I normally wouldn't want to do to justify those purchases. So maybe that's a good approach, and maybe more people should use that approach when buying stuff, or just max out your credit card.
Just spend all the money. This is one of the mentalities I've had, or mindsets, again, being in the sales and commission industry that I'm in, is, you've got a buddy of mine, a good friend of mine. I met him last week, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And he was like, man, I've gotten way back into Dave Ramsey. And he was like, I'm not really spending money. I sold my newer car, bought an older car, and I'm saving all this. I was like, man, that's awesome. And I think he's just W-2 kind of employee, and which like that's, you have a set amount of income, and the more you save, like the more you've got, which is important and smart. For me, being in the role that I'm in, I've always had I've tried to approach it with the abundance mindset of, while savings is important and budgeting is important, I always just focus on how can I make more to justify a purchase or whatever it is. And so it's more so looking forward of, all right, well, let's focus on how do we generate more, not how do we save more.
Save more, yeah.
Right, because you can only save so much. You're going to have hard costs and hard expenses in your life, period. And so at the end of the day, the margins of saving, in my mind, are just not that great, or not as great as they could be compared to just making more.
Yeah, allocating your time to earn more versus allocating your time to like spend less, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think we definitely go through this. And it's funny that you say that he's like, I'm really getting back into Dave Ramsey. Yeah. And for anybody that doesn't know, Dave Ramsey is like the financial advisor guy. He's written a lot of books about money management, the complete Total Money Makeover. Is that Dave Ramsey? Really interesting. If anybody out there is interested in checking up on him.
Yeah.
But I think, me personally, I go through seasons where I don't know. I think at the beginning of this year, maybe with big changes in seasons or times of year, where it's just like, man, I just need to go through and clean out like all the. Like for me, for example, I went through and like all the accounts I was spending money on that we just never used, like Hulu. Mm-hmm. We had 2 separate Spotify accounts where actually you could join Spotify and it's like half the price. Right. Just like little things. And I think I went through, and by the end of just culling out some things, I was like able to save like an extra $150 a month.
Yeah.
On stuff that I wouldn't even miss.
Yeah.
And then that just got me fired up to like read more financial books. And so it's like I went through a season where I was just like, taking my lunch every day and not spending money on frivolously. And I was just like, yes, this is awesome. And then it just kind of goes in waves.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's smart to pay attention to. And that's one thing we talked about. One of the goals that Rachel and I have at the beginning of this year was to kind of have more of a financial budget and a plan together instead of just being wondering completely aimlessly on financially and focusing more on just on the income. So we're kind of looking back at some of that, and we're doing that this year. But I do draw the line of, one of the go-to kind of example is like, oh, I'm going to skip Starbucks once a week and save $300 a year. Like, to me, I'm like, man, treat yourself. Yeah. Like, that's like, if that makes that big of a difference in your life, then let's look at like what you're doing from a job and income standpoint and fix that, because you're not making enough if that's going to really affect your life. But I think treat yourself with that, and don't cut those things out and really focus on the income side. And I think you'll just be that much more forward.
Sure, yeah. So maybe there's a balance there.
There's a balance.
You don't always be blowing money like crazy, but at the same time, you don't want to. I'm going to eat cheese and crackers for lunch every day, and end up saving an extra $100 at the end of the year or whatever. Yeah, so I get that.
So we started this 10-year anniversary trip. Do you have a place picked out? Where are you going?
Man, I don't know how deep down the rabbit hole we want to get on this, but when we first got married, we took our honeymoon in Mexico. If anybody has been following the latest weather forecasts and everything like that, or especially just the news that's going on in the Gulf of Mexico, we have a United States size mass of sargassum seaweed that has bloomed up out and is headed towards the Florida coast. So it's like we've watched news articles about it and stuff, but basically anybody who's been to the Gulf of Mexico, you've probably seen this type of seaweed. It floats on the water, and it's in small quantities, it's really not a big deal, but it's gotten bigger and bigger every year, and this year is the biggest year on record. You can actually see it from space.
Holy cow.
So they don't know exactly why. I think they attributed it some to climate change and stuff like that, not to get on that train. But so anyways, all this seaweed is washing in, and we joined some Facebook groups that kind of follow that, and we're seeing up and down the coast in Mexico. So to go back, we honeymooned in Mexico, so for a 10-year anniversary, we reached out to a travel agent and found a cool place in Mexico, Playa del Carmen specifically, to go back there. But we're seeing that they're already being hit with this seaweed, and what it does is it clumps up on the beach, and then it starts rotting. Oh. And it has a really bad smell, and people are reporting that it is kind of like causing allergic reactions in some people, and it's not good to breathe, and so it's really hitting the tourist industry in Mexico pretty hard.
Yeah.
And they're trying their best to mitigate it, but you just can't fight it. You know what I mean?
And so, much, what do you do with it?
So all that to say, we reached out to our travel agent. We're kind of like, hey, we're kind of concerned about this. And she kind of downplayed it. I guess she has an incentive to get us to go. And then we're looking at the news, and we're like, dude, this is like no joke. We're not trying to overreact, but this is like, it's pretty big cost to do this trip for a week. And we don't want to get down there. And like, even if we can't use the beach, people are saying that even in their rooms they can smell it. It's like it's just like a dump. So I don't know how bad it's going to be. So just last night, actually, we completely changed gears. We hit the pause button on Mexico, and now we're pretty confident we're going to go to Washington, Mount Rainier, and just go to the mountains and skip the ocean this year, and maybe try to do it in Mexico next year.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Long-winded way of answering your question. So that's kind of what's been going on. But, it's going to be awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. Never been to Washington. We went to Oregon 2 years ago and did Mount Hood. My wife and I like to hike and stuff. Actually, she loves to hike. So we hiked around Mount Hood, spent 3 days on trail. And so this year, I don't think we're going to do anything that hardcore, but we found like a cool Airbnb and just going to go explore Washington, maybe go visit Seattle, and just be in the mountains for a week. So that's kind of what we're going to do.
I love that.
Yeah.
When is it?
It's coming up in August.
Okay.
So we're, maybe 2 months out, 3 months out right now.
Man, that's awesome. Travel's on our mind. We were headed to the beach next week, but last week we were supposed to be in Italy.
Oh, wow.
So this is a trip we booked in 2020, right before COVID hit, and it got delayed. So we pushed it. And the company we went through is incredible. Their customer service is awesome. When COVID hit, they said you can either just have a full refund or you can just keep it booked and just take it whenever you want. I'm like, all right, cool. We want to go, so we'll just see how long this pandemic lasts. And 3 years later, we're finally like, all right, we booked it. And so we were supposed to leave last Tuesday. Monday night, we're all packed. It flies out of Atlanta, so we're going to drive over. Rachel's parents are in Atlanta. We're going to take Stella, drop her off. The flight's Tuesday night, so we're going to drop her off Tuesday midday at her parents' house, drive to the airport, and fly out. Monday night, we're all packed. Suitcases are ready. We're going to leave about 10 a.m. from here to drive over. And Rachel wakes up 4 a.m. with a stomach bug and is just can't get out of bed. She's throwing up. She's just feeling terrible.
Oh, man.
And so we're like, all right, we'll get some medicine. Like, we're still going.
Yeah, yeah.
And just it got worse and worse and worse. And
oh, my gosh.
Straight up had to cancel the trip. Like, dang. So we were supposed to be there for 8 days. So we were supposed to get back this past Tuesday night or Wednesday. And, yeah, didn't get to go. So.
Any idea what? Something she ate, maybe, or
so there was a couple people in our church. I had a client event the Friday night before, and I heard of like 1 or 2 people like having a bug like that weekend. So I think we were just around people that had it, and she just picked it up. So pretty unfortunate. So wake up Wednesday morning, obviously not going on the trip, but me and Stella are fine, and so. Rachel's mom was like, well, if you still want to bring her over and y'all just, you take care of Rachel and y'all just kind of be there. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. So we load up about 7:30 a.m. and we're driving I-20 going past Buc-ee's in Moody, and, Stella's singing, happy she's fine. And then I just hear, whoa.
Oh, my gosh. No.
And I can't see. I don't have one of the, a lot of people, there's like mirrors on the headrest where you can see her, but mine's falling off. So I was like, that didn't sound good. So I pull over. I'm like in the median of I-20, and I run around. And I open the door, and so she has a bottle of milk every morning, and there's just curdled milk.
Oh, dude.
It's disgusting. It's all over her, all over the car seat, all over her clothes, all over the car, just everywhere. It's the most, it's like more than I think I could hold. I'm like, how does this even fit in?
Oh, parenthood, man.
And so I'm standing on the median of I-20 at 8 in the morning, just like, I just had to laugh. I'm like,
just take a couple pictures.
Yeah, I actually do. Maybe we'll throw that up. Rachel will get mad.
Yeah, okay.
Just standing there like, I can't be mad about, like, instead of being in Italy, I'm supposed to be in Florence right now on a gondola drinking wine. I'm in I-20 median with throw up all over me.
Realizing that now your daughter has the same bug that your wife has. And so.
I was like, we're in it. Here we are. So.
You just turn right back around. Hey, we're not going to Atlanta.
Yeah,
never mind.
I mean, we just, it took me like 30 minutes to clean her up because I was like, I've got an old towel in the back of the truck and like baby wipes. And so for like 30 minutes, I took her out. She's sitting on the grass in the middle of the median as I'm like trying. And for probably a good 3 minutes, I just stand there. She's on the ground, just like kind of confused on what she's doing. I'm just like, I don't really know what to do here. Like
this is bad. I need a hose.
I mean, really, I just need to hose this thing out. Should we burn it? I don't know. And so, we turned around, and then, like, within 24 hours, and Stella never felt bad again. And she never really expressed, like, she was feeling bad. She just threw up once and was out. So that happened, and then, just sitting in the middle of I-20 and just, you just got to laugh at those situations, And we've talked about this before, but some things are out of your control, but how you respond to those things are within your control. And luckily, that was kind of top of mind when I was standing there, just like,
what are you going to do, man?
Getting mad or getting whatever, that's not going to change the situation. We're here. Not being in Italy can't change that situation after we missed the flight. So we're here for a week. Let's enjoy it once you start feeling better. And so we had good family time. I didn't just dive right back into work. I'm blessed to have an incredible team at Arc Realty, and so they were set up to kind of handle all the current clients and everything that came across, and so they stepped in, and I told them, hey, I'm here if you need something, reach out to me, but I'm really not going to be
kind of on vacation, sort of. Just pretend I'm in Italy.
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm not here because for the first couple of days, I was taking care of Rachel, and so it was good. I mean, it was just we spent some good family time and got some stuff done that's been ignored, around the house.
Sure.
And things, so.
Yeah, those staycations, although they can be productive. In my experience, I've found that I never get to truly relax if I'm on a quote-unquote staycation because, I just find stuff around the house that I've been ignoring. It's like, okay, well, I need to get this project done, and I got nothing to do. So.
Well, one of the things I did, I'm a big proponent to putting everything on the calendar, no white space, having my journal at the end of the day, writing down, try to be very structured and systemized. I did none of that for a week.
Okay, and how was it?
By day 4, I was so restless.
You're just going crazy.
Yeah, because I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I didn't fill my calendar out intentionally, but at the same time, it was like there was a couple times I'm just like I gotta do something. Yeah. So I just go to the basement, start organizing, or I don't know.
Do something, yeah. Do you find that you have a hard time going on vacation or anything like that? Maybe before Stella, where you're a very active person, both physically and in your career, and just all the things that you do. It's pretty amazing. When you go out of town and you're kind of forced to unplug. I know people that it's like my wife and I, we could go sit on the beach all day, hang out, watch the waves, and it's just great. Yeah. And then we've gone to the beach with friends who are like, how the heck do you do this all day? I'm going crazy. We got to get up and go do something.
Yeah, that's me. I can sit with no agenda doing nothing on a beach for 70% of a day.
Okay.
Or if I go get to work out that morning and I can relax. But no, if we just wake up and we've got 4 days of beach sitting, I'm out.
It's not you. Huh?
I'm out. We're gonna build the biggest sandcastle or something.
On planet Earth.
I got to do something.
Okay.
Yep. But switch that's our update, kind of on the personal level. But
cool.
Business wise, we've talked about my focus the past year and a half is sales on the Arc Realty side, but also kind of bigger rental investments, commercial, multifamily. But the trend continues as flips are just kind of thrown at me, and it's too good of a deal to pass up. And so we're in the middle of a handful of them. We've got the Hoover, the Jamestown house that's probably 3-ish weeks away from being done, which is pretty exciting. That's been going on since December.
Okay.
So excited to get it on the market. The little condo in Vestavia is on market. It went on last week. Had a lot of showings, no offers yet. So kind of hoping that one gets an offer and gets under contract pretty quickly. And then, I don't know if we talked about this one last time or not, but we bought one here in Avondale.
For anybody that wants to keep up with what Blake's going on, follow you on social media, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. So I kind of, even though we may go a couple of weeks without talking, I still do see updates of what you have going on. And I always love the walkthroughs when you initially purchase a property and you're just walking through. And I know that you have the lens to look at a property and see its potential. And it was just so funny to me, specifically this Avondale place, if I'm not mistaken, you were walking through and filming it, and you're like, okay, yeah, this kitchen needs a little work and it's not bad, but to the untrained eye, this place looked like it needed to just be burned to the ground. Yep. And you were not fazed by it at all, just all the things, not only on this property, but other properties I've seen you walk through, and you're just talking about the upside and all the things you're going to do. And I'm just thinking, why did you buy this? What? Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty funny. But.
It should be a good one. It should be ready next week. So it's
it's
very quick turn. But it really, kind of going off that point, it was paint, floors, appliances, bathrooms, which are all kind of different trades, and they can always, for the most part, kind of all work together at the same time there. Mm-hmm. And so, we just, again, shout out to Ezekiel at Vision Remodeling. He just went in there and just ran it. And that's one of those that I'm trying to call me when you're done.
Yeah.
Even though right after this, I've got to run some material over there. So it's not going quite as planned, but for the most part, he's running. I'm not there. I'm definitely not directing workers, and he's got it going. So we bought it at $170. The goal is to not be over $200 all in, so spending about $30 on it, and then I think I'll list it around $265.
Okay, so you're not gonna. This isn't any kind of long-term rental or anything like that.
Well,
you're gonna sell it.
Not intentionally. I had actually a guy yesterday reach out to me saying, "Hey, he runs Airbnbs here locally, and he said, hey, do you have anything that we could, it's a long-term rental that's vacant that we could set up as an Airbnb? I had an insurance company reach out to me, and they've got someone that needs a 6-month stay, and they'll pay. And basically, I told them, like, potentially, yes, go run by this Avondale house, and I'll just give them a number that just makes sense to hold it. Mm-hmm. Because the kind of flip side of that, and we've talked about 1031 exchanges and capital gain taxes a little bit in the past, but if I hold it for a year or a year and a day, and the intent of the property was to be a rental, and then I sell it, then I can either 1031 it into another property or at least avoid the short-term capital gains on it. Mm-hmm. And so there are some incentives there to not just straight flip it.
Just hold on to it, especially if you're, I guess, cash flowing positively with the. Yeah. Yeah, that they just found you randomly, or maybe this is somebody you've worked with. In the past.
I've worked with them before.
Okay.
And so. Yeah, he just reached out yesterday. So that's current. Like, I don't know what it'll turn into. And he sent it off to the insurance company, so they've got to even see if they're interested in it. So if the answer's no, then we'll just put it on market in 2 weeks.
Cool. Well, that's awesome, man. Kind of cool update. We'll go to all you have going on, staying busy. And I know you said you're like, I'm trying to get away from doing these quick flips and stuff. But I guess when the opportunity knocks, you just got to go with it. Yeah.
I had a social media post about this, but that's something that, always – I talk about it a lot and always try to battle is that shiny object syndrome of where's my focus, stay 100% focused on this, but at what point is it dumb to ignore an opportunity?
Right.
And so that's a fine line that I'm always trying to balance and trying to, and I definitely don't have all the answers on what's correct, but any hours and time spent, money spent on this Avondale property is hours and time and money not spent on something big or something that I say what my focus is. And so I've got to really balance that and evaluate the opportunity to make sure that it's worth it.
Right.
And so on this one, I think it would be, in 6 weeks we can turn it and make 40 or 50,000, or keep it as a rental and avoid those 1031 it. Then I think the opportunity of this is worth the opportunity cost of what I couldn't do because I'm doing it. Because I think that cost is low at the end of the day. But it is a cost, and so I've got to constantly evaluate that as opportunities come up that are outside of that focus area.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap, kind of remind me and maybe anybody that's listening, what is your focus? You may have mentioned that briefly a minute ago, multi-unit facilities and stuff, but what are you trying to focus on?
Yeah, so value-add C and B class multifamily that is 75 units to about 300 units.
And do you currently have anything that's at that scale in your inventory? Okay.
No. So about a year ago, we had up to about 100 units. Last year, I sold about half that portfolio.
Okay.
And so now we're looking to scale back up.
Okay. You're not, 200-unit condo high-rise, you're like all in. Let's do this.
Well, so for that, I actually have a partner that has a whole team and a company. So I would partner with him and take it down, and they've been doing this for a long time. And so I've been fortunate to pair up with them to where I've got not only their finances behind it to where we can, he kind of gave me the green light to look at anything up to $40 million. So I'm like, all right, let's go.
Sweet, yeah. Let's go. I can find something in that budget.
Yeah, right. But also he's got the management team, the renovation team, if it's outside Birmingham, especially if it's outside Birmingham, he's got crews that can come in and help do that. So
not only get it, I guess, ready for future tenants, but also the management of that, kind of take that off your plate. Of course, you don't want to get a 200-unit duplex or a high-rise, and then suddenly you're on the hook having to manage all that.
Oh, that's the non-negotiable. I'm not managing it. Yeah, because managing something like that is a full-time job.
Sure.
I mean, for multiple people, right? Yeah. Like that's a very big deal. And the property manager makes or breaks a property, period. Like if you've got a bad manager, the property's going to fail. Investor's going to lose money. It's bad. So yeah, you want to. There's a whole different podcast of talking about hiring property managers.
Sure.
And vetting.
That would be a cool subject. So anybody, I don't know, rule of thumb. Anybody out there thinking about buying an apartment complex, make sure you got a good property manager. Or if you're not going to be the property manager yourself. So.
Yeah, or if you're tired of it, sell it to me.
Yeah.
So multifamily, and then looking at B-class retail, commercial.
Okay, yeah.
So like strip centers that have anchor tenants in it, or like a Dollar General or something like that. That's just for me. That's just long-term hold. Would love some cash flow on it.
Any potential things in the fire, irons in the fire?
Well, I can get your brother to
buy
that's a
warehouse
for him.
Yeah, We're trying.
No, still looking around. I don't have anything that I'm chasing hard right now. But again, it's is it an excuse that I haven't seen anything, or is it a result of me spending my time on a house like Avondale? And that's the constant question: where's my time spent? So.
Well, great catching up, man. And I like the ink, like I said.
It'll be gone next time.
Maybe that'll wash off. But yeah, man, it's good talking to you.
Cool. See you next time.
Take it easy.